come down for the next day. I had the morning practice.
Okay.
So we had morning practice, and again, it's kind of our first full practice, because the day before was just kind of, figuring stuff out. And even this one, again, it's literally the second practice, but really the first one, because I think it was the first one we put full pads on.
It's like full contact?
It's not. The pros, it depends on the coaching and the organization if you're really hit or not, but there's some thud in there, some, banging a little bit. But so I have practice that morning, and then we might have some meetings, and then I go to lunch. And
how'd the practice go?
It was good. It was uneventful. Okay. Again, it's technically the first practice, because the practice the night before was just kind of like helmets running around. So it's technically the first practice.
How do you get, okay, so I want to go back a little bit first. How do you get this contract? Like, so do you just call them up?
Well, no, the agent did it. So,
that was nice of him.
So, pretty much the Canadian Football League will look and see who doesn't, who slides through the cracks in the NFL. And if there's someone they can sign, they will.
So they reached out to you, or the agent did it?
The agent made the deal. So the agent, the agent must have had a contact with them. But anyway, so I have that one practice. And again, the one practice is you're kind of, as an American, you're kind of acclimating yourself to Canadian rules, because, you can have 12 guys on offense. There's one more.
I didn't know
you can be moving towards the line of scrimmage at the snap. So there's only 3 downs. So there's
only 3 downs.
Yeah, it's different. I don't want to confuse you. I want to go on that tangent. Do a Wikipedia after the podcast.
What kind of evil is that?
So, but anyway, so literally, I have the morning practice. It's the first practice. I eat lunch. I go, okay, I'm gonna go to the locker room. I'm gonna get dressed early. I want to get taped. I want to get out and loosen up. So I go into the locker room, and some guy's like taking my helmet out of my locker, and I'm like, hey, that's my helmet. I need to, it's my helmet.
Get your own helmet.
So he's like, oh. He goes, oh, I hate when this happens.
Oh, boy.
Now, I'm oblivious. I'm like, hey, man, that's my equipment. I need to get dressed for practice.
Right.
He goes, Jim didn't talk to you? And I'm still, like, oblivious. I'm like, no, I need to get dressed for practice. He goes, you need to go see Jim. Jim Pop. The general manager. So now I turn around. I start walking down the hall to Jim's office, and now it's, like, dawning on me, like, because I'm like, what the F? I mean, I'm like,
it's a dead man walking right here. Yeah.
So I walk into Jim's office, and I'm like, they told me to come see you. He's like, yeah, we got to let you go. I'm like,
wow.
I just got here. I go, literally, it's been a day and a half with one practice. He goes, well, we can only, because back then, and it's probably the same now, they can only have 18 Americans on the roster. He's like, we can only have 18 Americans on the roster.
What kind of policy is that?
And, because it's the Canadian Football League. They don't want, 50 Americans. And I get it. I completely understand.
Can I do it now?
Go ahead.
Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Hold on.
No, that comes up later. This one? Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying when I came out of his office. So he's like, yeah,
I don't think you were saying that. There's probably some
like, I was pissed.
Yeah,
I was pissed because I was pissed.
Did you move? You moved everything up there?
My truck. I'm in a dorm basically. I didn't get an apartment yet because they didn't make the team. But I was more pissed because it's just like, it's just a waste of time. Like if you're gonna bring someone in, you're going to cut them in a day. That's why, and we'll get to this, that's why I love and players love the great Marv Levy, Hall of Fame coach at Buffalo. And when he brought people into Buffalo, and we'll get into it later, he kept them until the absolute cut date that the league mandated that he needed to trim his rosters. He never brought someone in and cut them in a day in my 2 years that I saw there.
Well, was there a discussion, or was he like, hey, I got to let you go?
No, it's like, I'm cutting you, and then it's like here's $87 per diem to drive home, and then it
Canadian dollars?
No, and then it converts to like $19 American, and I put gas in my truck and I drive home, and I'm pissed.
Can I get a bottle of Canadian Mist for God's sake?
I'll never forget. So I crossed the border in Canada, and I'm way up in New York State, up like by Lake Placid, and I'm fuming. And then the agent that I thought that I screwed up, that I should have hired, a guy by the name of Jack Mueller out of Boston. And he was Doug Flutie's agent, and he was general counsel for the New England Patriots for a while. And I should have went with him. So I called Jack, and I said, Jack, I screwed up. I should have hired you. I hired this other guy. How do I fire him? He goes, just write him a quick letter saying you're terminated. I no longer, wish you for your services. Certify the letter. Once you drop it in the mailbox, he's fired. You don't ever have to talk to him again. So I went home, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I bet.
And then that agent had told me oh, don't worry about like highlight tapes and film for the NFL. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. So I never had one. Nothing ever got distributed. So now I'm kind of like, okay, it's 1996. This year of football's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So I basically went from Rochester, drove back up to the University of Massachusetts. I sat in the football office at UMass in the where they have the tape machines, because that's what they were back then, tapes, not video. And I just went through the VHS tape after VHS tape of my games for 4 years. And I made like an hour highlight tape of just everything. So, and I had this tape, and then I go back home and I make copies of it. And now I'm just like basically writing a letter with the tape to every NFL team out there. Now, I tried to target teams that I thought I could fit or needed a running back spot. So basically that entire season,
right?
You know, because I got cut Canada's early. It was summertime. But that summer into that 96 season, that's all I did. I kept working out, and I wrote letters to every NFL team and sent tapes. Now, a lot of them just ignored me, which I figured. Some would have the professionalism, which I love, to write me a letter back and say, hey, you know, thanks for the letter. We know who you are, but, you know, we don't have any spots. Good luck, yada, yada, yada. Totally fine with that, right? Totally fine with that. So I'm just kind of, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this on my own. Now, I hired Jack.
Well, let me ask you this. How it seems you make it so far and then you get a little setback. Well, not even a little, a big setback. You make it so far, you get a big setback. How therapeutic was it to kind of, it sounds like you took the bull by the horns, should I say, you know, took the reins in your own hands and picked yourself up.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, how therapeutic was it to go and to pull the video yourself and to write the letters and to do what you want to? You're driving your own train at this point.
If you want something done and you want something done right, there's no one better to do it than yourself.
And did you feel a lot more in control of your situation?
Absolutely. And so I hired Jack, but I still did all this stuff.
Sure.
I didn't ask Jack to do anything. And I will tell you, Jack was with me, you know, my 2 years as a professional, never took a dime from me.
Really?
Never took a dime from me. And he did stuff for me.
Sure.
There's no doubt about it. But I was in contact with Jack.
Right.
So our plan was, okay, I'm going to send this stuff out to the teams. And Jack had talked about, you know, NFL Europe was going on.
Okay.
And the NFL owned it. And it was kind of like a minor league. So we were like, okay, let's see maybe if we can get into there. But that wasn't until spring. That's a spring season, remember?
Okay.
So that's what I did. So I hit some contacts that I know, and I got a workout, workout with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Cool. Okay.
So I remember driving down to Pittsburgh, and they worked me out. Terry Donahoe was the GM, and I had a real good workout. But, you know, nothing. It's just kind of, it's like a job interview. You go, do. Thank you very much. You know, we'll be in touch if we want you.
I keep coming back to these mental aspects of it because, you know, again, the physical is you can run and catch and whatever, but the mental aspect I think is important. So did you feel that, you know, okay, the gas is in the tank. Like I've done my, you know, my workouts, I've kept myself in shape. So when you went to these tryouts, basically, were you like, hey, was it more self-confidence or was some self-doubt? Like
there was no self-doubt. It was just, I needed to get in front of people.
Right.
To show what I could do. And I just, you know.
Truly, it's like amazing.
You have to have perseverance because it's easy to give up, man. Anyone can give up. It's hard to keep going. Right now, listen, I was in a position where, you know, as most college kids are, graduated. I go home, right? I'm kind of living on my parents.
Right.
And, you know, doing odd jobs here and there, some construction stuff to put some money in my pocket with my dad. But anyway, so yeah, I do the workout for the Steelers and you know, they never call.
Okay.
So now I'm home and this is where it gets just, to me, this is where it gets life-changing and where I think the hard work pays off and dreams do come true. Because you never know, right?
No, you don't know.
You never know when things are going to happen. And my mom would always say, and I had this frame picture in my bedroom growing up as a kid, and it was one of these. What do you call that when you like knit something?
Or like the needlepoint.
Yeah, needlepoint. and it said, when God closes a door, he opens a window.
I've seen it,
and I've always just had that, like, you guys got to keep going, right? So fast forward now, and like I said, I had sent these tapes out, sent the letters out, and I got response from 5 or 6 teams saying, thanks, but no thanks. So, and Jack had been working on my behalf as best he can too. So we get to, like, I'll never forget. It's because again, it's the season of '96, which is just a wash for me. So we're in like November, late November, and Jack calls me, and he says, "Hey, the Buffalo Bills want to talk to you." So we do a 3-way. So AJ Smith was the director of player personnel, actually probably pro personnel. John Butler was the GM, great GM. Now, A.J. Smith went on to be a great GM as well with San Diego Chargers. But so I get on a call with them, and A.J. says through Jack, hey, we know who you are. We know your story. Again, because I live in Rochester. That's an hour from Buffalo.
Sure.
So he goes, we know who you are. We are going to sponsor you. We are going to tell NFL Europe, we want to see you over there.
Okay.
So that'll put me in the league.
Sure.
So I was ecstatic. I was like, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Because at this point, I just want to play again.
Right.
And if I can get to NFL Europe, at least I can play and then, get people to see me and then make an NFL roster. So I was ecstatic. I said, AJ, Mr. Smith, thank you very much. And so there was kind of like a load off my shoulders. And I'm like, okay, at least I know this spring I'm going to be able to go play and get looked at again.
Right.
So now it comes back to like the letters and the tape. So true story. So it just happened to be like a couple days before I had sent. I think Buffalo was like the last team I sent.
I was going to ask you, did you send a letter?
Yeah, they were like the last team I sent something to.
Okay.
And I said, AJ, just so you know, like I just sent you a VHS tape, like a highlight tape and a letter. It's probably in a mailbox somewhere, but I don't want you to hang this phone up and then tomorrow you get it and you say, this kid's crazy. I just talked to him and he's sending me stuff. Right. So I already sent it.
Right.
He goes, okay, yep, no worries, thank you. Well, it must have been like on his desk or in a mailbox.
Right.
And he must have watched it.
Okay.
He called me back the next day and said, we want to bring you in for a workout. In a month. He gives me the date in a month.
Okay.
So it was like towards the end of the season. It's like the end of December. And I'll never forget because it was a Tuesday. Tuesdays are off days in the NFL.
Okay.
But the Bills had played the Dolphins. It's funny how you remember this stuff. 30 or 28 years later.
It's not every day you get a call from
the Bills. The Bills had played the Dolphins on Monday Night Football in Miami.
Okay.
Because I remember watching the game on Monday Night Football. But then I drove up to Buffalo on Tuesday, and it was real early on Tuesday, and obviously the team had gotten back chartered real late, so there was no one in the facility.
Right.
AJ came down and a couple other people he had, and I tested with them. So here's the other thing, too, and I had mentioned this before about kind of being a tweener, like where NFL team said, well, he's playing fullback, but he's too small to be an NFL fullback. Well, and if he's playing fullback, he's got to be too slow to be a tailback.
Right.
So during that time where I was working out, I just said, you know what? I'm going to bulk up. I'm going to get as big as I can because I think they kind of see me more as like a fullback. So when I went and did that workout for the Bills, I was 218 pounds. It was the biggest I've ever been.
Okay.
But I was solid. I mean, I was benching 400 pounds. I mean, I was strong. So even at 218, I ran like 4.51, 4.49 for them. And so there's there's fast people out there, right? But, the NFL back then, if you ran a 4.5 or sub, that was good. They knew because they were slow on their watches.
Sure.
It wasn't Uncle Jimmy timing you that says, "Hey, Uncle Jimmy told me
he's giving you a little benefit.
Junior ran a 4.21.
Right.
Well, yeah, because Uncle Jimmy was on the watch. It ain't like that in the NFL. Yeah. But I tested good, caught passes, I did everything, and again, I was bigger. They did my body fat, they did everything. So, but again, it's like, hey, thanks for coming. So I drive home. I get my per diem. I drive home and.
What's going on with the NFL Europe thing? Is that on hold?
Yeah, it's not. Well, remember that season's not till the spring, so we still have months. So nothing was really said about it other than, hey, we want to bring you in for a workout.
And I just want to say too, I'm a solid 218 right now.
Yeah,
solid.
So
go ahead.
So
I bulked up.
So I work out.
Yeah.
It was